I've been waiting on you. Thank you for coming into the farmhouse kitchen. I'm Charla, or Miss Charla, or Miss Charla K. Everybody in the South, normally my age, uses a middle name, but it's just a respect thing. So welcome to the first series that I'm going to be teaching on my crowded table. It's the way I was brought up. It's stories that my grandparents told, my parents told. It is foodways of the South. I'm wanting to revive and to keep these foodways open for the younger generation so it will not be lost. And one of the things that I wanted to make on our very first Crowded Table series, a Southern foodway, is no bake cookies. You cannot get any simpler and more Southern than that. Most children, when we got out from school, we would either whip up a batch our own selves. In the South, you are taught to cook when you are very young, normally preteen age, anywhere from 8 to 10, definitely 11 and 12. And I was definitely cooking meals when I was very young, and I'm very thankful for that. So our first recipe in the crowded table, I'm so happy you're here with me. That really makes me excited, is no bake cookies. It is so easy. One of the reasons the Southern women would make the no bake cookies, you would find them at all the potlucks after church when everybody would get together and everybody bring meals. That was a big thing in our community. There was always several different batches of these no-bake cookies, and I think it's because of the ease, the ingredients that you use. Normally everybody had that on hand. So here I've got everything laid out, and here's what I'd like for you to do. I went ahead and got 2 baking sheets, lined them with parchment paper. I use a cookie scoop. You can use a 1.5 or a 2. This is a 2. Just get you a spatula, a whisk, get you a pretty heavy bottomed, pretty big pot so we can put everything into it, and that just makes for smooth cooking. So the first ingredient I'll start with, and we just dump everything together. And you will need 1 stick of butter, preferably chopped up. Just put it in your pan. You're going to take a half a cup of milk. Now, this is a Southern tip. If we always lived up in the hills, I was raised in the hills of southeastern Oklahoma, and we didn't have a grocery store. We were very far. We lived up in the hills, and a Southern tip is always keep evaporated milk if you don't have fresh milk. So a half a cup of fresh milk. You're going to use a 1/4 cup of cocoa. Now, these days, what I use is the cacao powder. And my husband and I don't cook these very much for us, but I do want to teach the Southern foodways. So, a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, and then just a granulated sugar. This is a white sugar, 2 cups. And in the description box, I'm going to put grams, and if you're not from this country, the United States, so you can see how I do this. And the rest of the ingredients, which are oats, peanut butter, and vanilla, we're going to leave over here. I'm going to take this over to the oven, and we're just going to get everything mixed together. I'll meet you over here.
Be certain that you cook this mixture for 60 seconds.
Okay, we've got the mixture. It came to a good rolling boil. This is why you want to have everything out, because this part is rather fast. You're going to take 3 cups of oats. I used organic Bob's Red Mill. Organic Bob's Red Mill oats. I did not use quick oats. You can, but I prefer these because they're organic. Now it's going to make the cookie a little bit chewier. I go ahead and start mixing that in. Your peanut butter, which is a half a cup. You could use cashew butter, almond butter. This is a natural peanut butter. That heat inside of here is going to really melt that. And then the last step is 1 teaspoon of a good vanilla extract. I made this. I have to do a recipe on that. And then you just mix it really well. That's why you need a good big pan. Ooh, that smell. That's yummy already. You could double and triple this recipe, which I've done lots of times. If you're going to have a crowded table, you need to have lots of good recipes made up. I enjoy y'all being in the kitchen with me. I really wanted to preserve the legacy of the Southern Foodways. That is just so important to me. Plus, I have beautiful grandbabies that I don't get to see very often. And I thought one of these days when they're old enough, they could look back. We haven't told anybody we have a YouTube. But when they find out one of these days, so you take your cookie scoop and you just pop them out. But I thought it would be neat that they could see what their grandparents, what we were about. And you just scoop out your cookies like this. If you wanted them a little, what I call runny, you would cook it not quite as long as I did. And you can play around with the recipe. My husband, I've also seen him take these and crumble them up. If we were ever to make homemade ice cream, he would put them over that. I'm going to finish dipping these. After you dip your cookies out, let them set for 25 to 30 minutes if you can. I know it's hard. I know my children and many other Southern children, and we did as well. We would scoop the cookies up with our hands because it would still be a little runny, and we would eat it just like that. It's delicious anyway, but you can make them, as I just said, runnier. Mr. Scott, my husband, he likes his thick like this. So that's the way I make it for him. But it is a wonderful, wonderful staple food in the South. That's why I wanted to prepare for you when I was thinking back of the Southern foodways and the crowded table that I grew up at. My children, I was like, it's a no-brainer. It's no-bake cookies simply because they are so easy to make and it's just a Southern staple. So you would just serve the cookie just like this. And a good Southern hostess will always offer you, when you walk into the house, you will always be offered, would you like some iced tea? Would you like some water? My choice is water with lemon and mint. And I will tell you, Southerners take this very, very serious. Before I take my bite, my 91-year-old mother-in-law was telling me when she met a very young fiance, a female, she said, I just don't know about her. And I said, oh, I think she's lovely. Well, I went into her home and she never offered us a glass of water, a glass of tea, or anything. And I know we were in there 45 minutes. So you may think that's rather ugly, but it's not. It is a Southern tradition to offer a drink. So I'm always going to offer you a drink and I'm always going to offer you something to eat. So let's give this a taste test. Mm. Mm. customary happy dance. I'm not just doing this for you. I'm doing this because this is who I am. Southerners love our food. This is a treat. I rarely do this in this house. My husband likes milk with his. So thank you for being here with me in the farmhouse on the very first series, June 15th, 2025, number one crowded table series with Miss Charla at August Creek Farmhouse, where we grow wild and live simple. Thank you so much. I do not take you for granted, not for one moment. I appreciate everyone that walks into my home. I thank you. Have a super blessed day, and I'll see you on the next time.